She never believed that a stranger could change the destiny she hadn't even lived yet, until she met the boy who carried her future's secret. Amara's evenings were always quiet, wrapped in the fading light of a small town that rarely offered surprises. She was used to the predictable rhythm of life. The walk from the library, same streets, same shops, the same silence. Yet that night, something broke the cycle. Under the flickering glow of a broken lamppost, she saw him. His presence was unsettling, like a page torn from a story she hadn't read yet. His eyes locked with hers, sharp, knowing, almost too familiar. For a fleeting second, she felt as if her heart recognized him long before her mind could. Their paths crossed, and he smiled at her. But it wasn't the casual smile of a stranger. It was the kind of smile someone gives when they already know who you are. Amara froze, confused and oddly exposed. "Careful," he said softly, as she stumbled over a loose stone. His voice was deep, steady, and warm in a way that stirred something unexplainable inside her. "You always forget to look down when your thoughts are too far ahead." She blinked, stunned. Always. How could he speak as if he had known her for years? Before she could ask anything, he stepped back into the shadows, disappearing into the night, leaving her heart racing with questions. That night, Amara lay awake, restless. His words echoed inside her head, and her chest ached with the feeling that this was not the last time she would see him. Deep down, she already knew. Her life had just changed. She thought it was coincidence, until he kept appearing exactly where her heart longed for him to be. The cafe near the old railway station smelled of coffee and rain that afternoon. Amara sat by the window, pretending to read, though her eyes betrayed her restless thoughts. And then, just as though her silent longing had called him, he was there. He sat alone at the far corner, his gaze fixed outside, his posture too still, too deliberate. Amara's stomach tightened, her heart beating in uneven bursts. She tried to ignore him, to convince herself that this was all in her imagination. But his presence pulled at her like an invisible thread. When he finally turned toward her, the world seemed to stop. His eyes carried something heavy, like he wasn't just looking at her, but into her. Without hesitation, he rose from his chair and walked to her table. "You don't believe in destiny?" he said, as if stating a fact rather than asking. Amara swallowed hard, gripping her cup. "And how would you know that?" He leaned closer, lowering his voice until only she could hear. "Because I've seen you fight it. I've seen you fight yourself." Her pulse raced. His words made no sense, and yet deep in her bones, she felt the sting of truth. "Seen me where?" she whispered. "In your future," he replied. His expression didn't waver, his voice carrying the weight of certainty. Amara's breath faltered. The cafe around her blurred, the sound of clinking cups and murmured conversations fading away. All that existed in that moment was him, and the terrifying promise hidden in his words. Before she could press him further, he stood up, his chair scraping against the wooden floor. "Not here, not now. You'll understand soon." And just like before, he walked away, leaving her drowning in questions, her heart trembling between fear and desire. That night, she couldn't close her eyes without seeing his face. And for the first time, the future, something she had always feared, felt like something she desperately needed to reach. She wanted to escape his eyes, but every time she turned away, destiny placed him right before her. The park was alive with Sunday's laughter. Children racing across the grass, and couples strolling hand in hand. Amara sat on a bench beneath the oak tree, trying to distract herself with the book she carried. Yet her eyes kept lifting, searching unconsciously, hoping and fearing to see him again. And then there he was, standing under the very same tree, hands in his pockets, his gaze fixed on her with the quiet intensity of someone who had been waiting far too long. Amara's heart stuttered. "You again," she whispered, more to herself than to him. He walked toward her slowly, his presence commanding without effort. "I told you," he said softly, "you'll keep finding me, because time keeps pulling us back together." Her lips parted in disbelief. "Who are you?" For a moment, silence hung between them. His eyes held a shadow of sorrow, as if the answer itself was a burden. Then he said, "Someone who knows where your story ends." The words pierced her, chilling and magnetic all at once. She tried to laugh, but it came out brittle. "You speak as though you've been watching my life." He sat beside her, the space between them, electric and fragile. "Not watching," he murmured, "living. In ways you cannot yet imagine." Her throat tightened. Gaze softened, and in his eyes she saw both danger and tenderness. "Because your choices decide more than your own fate, and I'm bound to those choices." Her chest ached, torn between reason and the unexplainable pull she felt toward him. A stranger shouldn't feel like destiny, and yet everything inside her screamed that he was exactly that. That night, Amara's journal filled with frantic handwriting. "He isn't just a boy. He is the secret my future refuses to hide any longer." She told herself to resist him. But when the future calls your name, how long can you stay silent? The rain began that evening without warning, soft at first, then crashing hard against the city like 1,000 secrets spilling at once. Amara hurried out of the library, clutching her books close, but her steps froze the moment she saw him. He was waiting at the gate, standing exactly where she always paused to adjust her bag. Her pulse skipped. "You knew I'd be here." "You're following me," she said, her voice a mix of accusation and trembling curiosity. He shook his head, the faintest smile tugging at his lips. "No, I'm only standing where time tells me you'll arrive." The rain drenched her, cold and merciless. Without a word, he slipped his jacket over her shoulders. It was warm, familiar in a way that made her chest ache, as though she had worn it before in another life, another moment that hadn't yet happened. "Why me?" she whispered, almost broken by the weight of not knowing. His eyes held hers, storm meeting storm. "Because your path is more than your own. And soon, you'll have to choose between love and loss. I can't stop it, can only walk beside you until you decide." Her heart pounded so violently she thought he could hear it. "Are you saying you've seen everything?" He hesitated, his jaw tight, his gaze flickering with something unspoken. Then, softly, he answered, "Enough to know that without me, your future would never be complete." Amara's breath caught, her world tilting in a way that terrified and thrilled her all at once. She should have turned away, should have run from the impossible weight of his words. But instead, she stayed, caught in the gravity of a boy who carried her tomorrow like it was already written in his hands. That night, as thunder echoed through the sky, Mara closed her eyes and asked herself the question she had feared the most. What if my future has already chosen him? She thought she was chasing answers, but every step closer to him only pulled her deeper into a future she didn't understand. The following days blurred into a storm of restless thoughts. Amara searched for him everywhere, and somehow he always appeared when her heart was weakest. It was as if he wasn't bound by chance, but by an unseen map that connected them across time itself. One evening, she found herself at the abandoned railway platform. The trains no longer ran there, but something about the silence drew her in. And there he was, waiting as though the place had been chosen not by him, but by fate. "You knew I'd come," she said breathlessly. He nodded. "You always come here when you need answers." Her body tensed. "But I've never been here before." A shadow passed over his face, and for the first time she saw the weight he carried. "Not yet, but you will." The words shook her. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Tell me the truth. Who are you? Why do you know so much about me?" He looked at her with an expression both tender and tragic. "Because I am the part of your life you haven't lived yet. I carry the pieces of your future that you haven't reached." Her lips parted, her breath quickening. "That's impossible." "Is it?" he whispered, leaning closer. "Then why do you feel like you've known me all along?" Silence hung heavy. The air seemed to thicken between them, charged with a longing she could no longer deny. Against every warning in her mind, she let herself fall into that silence, into him, into the mystery that felt more real than anything she had ever known. Her heart knew what her mind refused to accept. She wasn't falling for a stranger. She was falling for the future that had already chosen her. She wanted the truth, but the truth was heavier than love. It was a secret meant to break her before it could save her. Amara couldn't stay away anymore. Every night she dreamed of him. Every morning she woke with his words echoing in her mind. The future, her choices, love and loss. It was as if her very soul had been tied to a path she couldn't see. Finally, she confronted him beneath the oak tree where they first spoke. The evening sun painted the sky in burning gold, but her voice was sharp, trembling with desperation. "No more riddles, no more half-truths. Tell me who you are." He stood silent for a moment, his eyes searching hers, as if begging for permission to open a door he had kept locked. Then, slowly he said, "I am not just a boy you met by chance. I come from the thread of time you haven't reached yet. I know what is coming. I know what you will face." And he broke off, his jaw tightening. "I've carried your secret because it belongs to you more than anyone else." Amara's chest tightened. "What secret?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "That you will lose everything you love, unless you choose differently." Her heart lurched. "Lose everything?" He nodded, pain flickering across his face. "I wasn't meant to tell you. If time finds out, it will tear me away from you. But I couldn't watch you walk blind into the same sorrow again." Tears pricked her eyes, though she didn't understand why. Again, the word clung to her like a shadow. Had she lived this before? Her body trembled as she whispered, "Then why me? Why do you care?" For the first time, his composure shattered. He reached for her hand, holding it as though it anchored him to existence. "Because no matter what time does, no matter how it rewrites us, I always find you, and I always love you." The confession broke her. Fear and longing collided inside her, and she could no longer deny it. She loved him too. A boy who wasn't just flesh and blood, but the living secret of her future. That night, Amara lay awake, knowing nothing would ever be the same. Love had found her, yes, but so had destiny. And destiny was never kind. She thought love was the answer, but destiny demanded a price she was ready to pay. The world around Amara began to change. Places felt unfamiliar. Time slipped strangely, and sometimes, in the reflection of mirrors and windows, she swore she saw versions of herself she didn't recognize. The boy's presence had stirred something in reality itself. One stormy evening, she ran to him, rain soaking her clothes, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and longing. "You said I'd lose everything," she cried, gripping his arms. "Tell me how to stop it." His face was pale, his eyes shadowed with grief. "That's the part I can't change. The future doesn't bend easily. For every choice you make, there is a cost." Her voice cracked. "Then why give me hope? Why make me fall in love with you if all I'll get is loss?" He touched her cheek gently, his hand trembling. "Because hope is the cost. To love me is to risk everything. To walk away is to keep your world safe, but empty." The words pierced her deeper than any wound. She felt as though the storm outside had torn into her chest. Two futures stretched before her, one of love, dangerous and fragile, and one of safety, hollow and lifeless. Lightning flashed, thunder roared, and in that raw moment, Amara kissed him. It wasn't a kiss of innocence. It was a desperate claim, a rebellion against fate itself. His arms pulled her closer, as if he knew it might be the last time he could hold her. When they parted, breathless and trembling, he whispered, "If you choose me, the world may break. If you let me go, you will survive. But I will vanish." Her heart screamed at the thought. She had finally found a love that felt destined, only to realize destiny itself demanded she surrender it. The storm raged harder, but inside her, an even greater storm was building. Love and fate stood at war, and she was the battlefield. She thought love was eternal, but eternity demanded her final choice. The storm had passed, but Amara's heart was heavier than ever. The boy stood before her, eyes filled with sorrow and devotion, as though he already knew what she would choose. "Tell me one thing," she whispered, her voice breaking. "If I let you go, will I ever see you again?" He shook his head slowly. "Not in this lifetime. Not in this world." Her chest constricted, tears flooding her vision. She wanted to scream, to fight, to tear destiny apart with her bare hands. But deep inside, she knew the truth. Time was cruel, and love was the sharpest of its weapons. He reached for her hands, pressing them against his chest. "No matter what happens, know this. You were my beginning, and you will be my end. Every future I carry leads back to you." The weight of his words crushed her. She wanted to choose him, to burn the world for him. But a voice inside whispered of the cost, her family, her life. Everything she had ever known would be torn apart. With shaking lips, she said the hardest words she had ever spoken. "I love you, but I can't destroy everything for us." His eyes glistened with unshed tears, but he smiled. A smile so tender it broke her soul. "Then you've already saved the world and lost me." Before she could hold him, before she could change her mind, light engulfed him. A glow brighter than the sun, dissolving his form into 1,000 fragments of time. She screamed his name, reaching for him, but her arms closed around nothing. Silence fell. The storm clouds drifted away. The world looked unchanged, yet emptier, colder. Amara stood alone, the memory of his warmth fading like smoke. But deep in her heart, she felt a quiet truth. Some loves aren't meant to be lived. They are meant to be carried. like a secret in the soul, a reminder that even in the vastness of time, love had found her once, and that was both her curse and her forever gift.